Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today we are once again building something from Ironman, or at least Ironman inspired if you hadn't figured it out by the background or what you clicked on the thumbnail. I proposed a while back that I would modify a pre-bought helmet, which I got this one on Amazon when it was on sale a while back. It is a Legendary Series. I'll link it in the affiliates page underneath in the description, but this is what I'm going to start out with. It does have sound and lights and all that stuff, and I don't want to compromise that. Those of you who are purists and are like, no, that's such a cool helmet already, don't mess it up. I'm fixing to mess it up, so if you don't like that, this isn't the video you should watch. But I did a poll in the Mark 1 helmet and asked what you thought I should do to it. And at the time when I checked it, it looked like most of you wanted me to steampunk this, so I am going to steampunk this pre-bought Ironman helmet into hopefully something epic. Let's get to building. I actually bought this helmet a while back and I'm just now getting to use it. Sometimes they just sit for a bit. So the first thing I had to do was find a bunch of potential parts, things that I can add interest and still fit the theme. I will use a lot of these parts, but some of them will live to scrap another day. I use a Nerf gun, squirt gun, PVC fittings, steampunk goggles, some gears, and various other parts for this build. I'll list them out in the description. Once I've decided on my build pieces, I have to break them down into parts. I put a cutting wheel on my rotary tool, put my respirator and face shield on, and begin hacking away at the plastic. I also turn on the vent fan to suck out the horrible smell of burning plastic in my room. Be careful when cutting. Hot plastic and high-speed cutting devices can lead to some very serious injuries, hence all the scars on my hands. Once I got my cut pieces done, I hit everything with a little sandpaper to give my glue something to cling to. My glue of choice for bulk work like this is hot glue, since there is little surface area that these parts can connect to. Plus, I am adding sloppy weld lines around stuff to sell the oddly put together parts. These big plastic parts from my Nerf gun will need a little help to fill in some of the gaps, so I'm using some leftover EVA puzzle pieces that a lot of people just kind of throw away to help me transition the two parts. I cut off puzzle piece notches and sand the back of it so everything gets a good connection. To glue foam to plastic, I typically use super glue. To add some pipe work to the top of my helmet, I drill into the middle piece and put in some fittings. I also made a little detail in the back out of some fittings to connect the hoses from the middle of the head to the ears. A lot of steampunk designs look like patchwork, so I added little ridges to certain areas and made some small panels to glue on top of the helmet in certain parts. Then to really sell the design, I went back in with a small bit on my Dremel to plunge in some faux rivets all over. Once I have all the details where I want them, it's time to unify the surfaces with a base coat of Rust-Oleum hammered spray paint. Then I tape off the magnet connections and spray the faceplate gold and the rest a dark copper. Now to dirty it up, I pick up all of those awesome details by pushing in a mixture of brown and black acrylic paint into the crevices and wipe off most of it with a paper towel. I'm mainly just trying to get it into the recesses and the edges to make all the greeblies and extra doodads kind of stand out from each other. To make things stand out even more, I decided to add some detail work using an acrylic paint pen. I hit all the rivets and also mix in some splashes of silver on other random parts to give everything a better contrast. Then the last thing I did was glue on some reflectors to my scope for some extra interest, and glued in the electrical corrugated tubing you see here to connect my pipework. And we are finished. Here is the end result. Overall, fairly pleased with the way it turned out. It was a hodgepodge of random stuff thrown on there. The Nerf gun that I modded in another build, used parts of it. I saved pieces of it that I thought were interesting to use. That's how that got there. And then these are actually little inner parts of that same Nerf gun that just I used as gears and things, which fit along with that steampunk theme. Then piecing together other random things that I found laying in those big bins of random junk to kind of piece it together. I would have liked it to be a shinier copper to kind of bring out more of that reddish tone, but all I had was some bronze spray paint, so I just went with it. But I think it turned out pretty cool. It still allows you to pull the mask off and all of that stuff, so all of the parts still move and work and the sounds still work, so I didn't mess up any of the internals. But yeah, maybe you will try and make your very own Ironman steampunk mask helmet thingy bob and impress your friends with your futuristic but old-timey spin on a classic. Sure. Maybe you'll get some.
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these and tell them, much props. I do like that this thing pulls out because I got a fat head, as most of you know. So it makes it easy to put on. And then it just slides back into place. And I removed the harness that's on the inside so that my head would fit. Peace out!